You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about encouragement. We all need encouragement at some point in our life to get us through those tough times when we're tested, when we feel as though our back is against the wall, when we're hopeless, when we're just trying to claw our way to our dreams. Well, now is the time to get encouraged in this hour. I want you to think about that challenge in your life and how we can get you around it, over it, under it, to the other side. We're also going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Magne Brown. She's going to be talking about her time as a Holocaust survivor. Yes, she actually went through it all. The concentration camp, she was building, working with bombs, and her story is so amazing that you have to hear it from her, because it's not only inspiring, but during the times that she was tested, how did she stay encouraged when she lost her family? It's just an amazing story, so stay tuned on that. Also, we want to hear from you. If you have a question, go ahead and give us a call. That number is 800-333-0001, 800-333-0001. Now, we get a lot of people who want resources oftentimes after our show, and we want to be able to provide those to you. So if you have any questions after the show, go ahead and reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Again, connect@livingfullout.com. And if you have a story that you feel would motivate our audience, we want to hear from you. You can also share that story with us at connect@livingfullout.com, and perhaps we'll have you on the show as a guest. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line, so let's go say hi to them. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hi, welcome to the show. Oh, guess we don't quite have our caller yet. I will give
Hello.
Oh, hi. Thank you very much for joining us. How can we help you today?
I'm just wondering, how do I give my child freedom but be strict so they can stay grounded?
It's a good question. Well, let me ask you a question. Your child, obviously, they have dreams, ambitions, right? They're kind of going for them.
Yes.
And do you find that to be unpredictable, unstable? Is that where they're not grounded, or is it that they're not grounded because of their friends
Well,
and who they
to
hang
give
out
them
with?
freedom, but at the same time, not too much freedom, and to make sure they don't go the wrong path, I suppose.
Okay. Now, what happens if she goes down the wrong path? What would happen?
Well, first of all, I would have to find out. That would probably take a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd probably have to help her to get back on the right road.
Mm-hmm.
And I will probably need help.
Right. And here's the thing. Always remember that life is meant to be lived, and we always want to go down the right path if we can. We always want to have those peak moments in our lives. However, it's the times that we go down the wrong path. It's the times that our heart is hurt. When we get disappointed, when we make a mistake, that's when we become resilient. That's when we become survivors. So if we always keep her on the right path and she never experiences a mistake or the wrong path or heartbreak, then she's not going to build that muscle. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you want to give her the freedom to go down any path that comes her way. But the beauty of it is that that's when she's living life, right? Life is meant to be lived. It's meant for us to laugh. It's meant for us to cry. It's meant for us to get excited, be worried, and on and on and on. All the emotions. And actually, the word emotion stands for energy in motion. So when she's making a mistake, or even if she's going down the correct path, she's energetically going after life in a big way. I love that you care enough about her to always want her to stay on the right path. But I think if you let her go, and even if she happens to stumble, the fact that you'll be there to pick her up is awesome. That's amazing. So you're a good mom, okay? Always remember that.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
by. Great question. Here she is looking for encouragement of how to keep her daughter on the right path. We all want to be on the right path, but sometimes life will give us these curveballs, these unexpected moments. And it's the times when we've survived. It's the times when we've been able to say, I've been here before, but I got through it. That's when you're able to live full out, because now you have those tools, you have those skills that you can turn to, those life moments to get you through the tough times. Now, we are getting word from our producer again that we have another caller on the line. We'll go say hello to them. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for calling. How can we help you today?
Hi, I was just wanting some advice on how to get my sophomore daughter more engaged socially without pressuring her too much.
What would you like to see her do differently than she's doing now?
I guess I would just like her to be out with her friends.
Okay.
Instead of, it's great that she's home studying, but I'd rather see her find a balance between social and homework.
So she likes to study. She's very academic, which is good.
She's very academic, yes.
Are there any social things that she could do that would keep her in the academic hub? So, for example, book clubs are great. They're social, yet it allows people to be, involved with a book and learning and growing. So that might be a good way to ease her into it. There's a lot of people that join clubs, like a debate club, a speech club, Toastmasters, anything where she could still feel as though she's academically learning, but yet you're kind of sneaking in the social at the same time. And so that would be a way that I would ease her into it. But is there anything that she is excited about that she's passionate about other than school?
Well, she's involved in sports, so she's part of two different teams, one in the fall and one in the spring. So that gets her out. It's more. I think I'm looking for more time with her girlfriends. On the weekends, Friday night, Saturday night, going out to dinner, movies.
Okay.
That type of thing.
Okay.
So she's very involved in clubs and athletics already.
Got it. Okay. So what you might want to do is a couple things. You might encourage her to have a party, a sleepover, some sort of a get-together at the house, and then that way she's with the friends. You might also encourage her to do kind of like a date night, not with a guy per se, but a date night with maybe you and one of your friends, and it's her and one of her friends, and you guys all go out, and maybe you go to the movies, or maybe you go bowling, or maybe you do something. And I think that would be special time. The other thing, too, is you don't want to force it. So I think you're very smart to be asking this question, because when somebody feels like, we've all been there, right? When we're forced to go out, and we're like, oh, I don't want to go out. I want to stay home. I don't really want to go out. And then you go out, and all you wish you was at home. Right? In your sweats, hanging out, right?
Yes,
and so we want her to feel comfortable. So that's why I'm thinking maybe something at home would be good. But I agree with you that one-on-one time is precious time. So, but I think you're on the right track with that. And I'm glad that you called in, and thank you so much.
Thank you. This is very helpful. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
So here we are talking about being encouraged, right? Look at our two callers today, two moms just wanting the best for their daughters, wanting to encourage them to be more sociable, encourage them to go down that right path. Now we can all look at our life and encourage not only the people in our life, but ourselves. So again, I ask the question to you, where in your life are you looking for encouragement? What is something that's kind of heavy on your heart right now? A place in your life where you wish that you had more personal growth. And what you want to do over the course of this hour is you want to identify what that is. And then we want to think about, how do we make that happen? How do we stay encouraged to reach our goals, to reach our dreams? I know for myself, there's so many things that I want to do, yet being legally blind, it's not a snap. I really have to get creative with how I'm going to do something. For example, I want to learn guitar, but I recently tried learning guitar. I actually worked with a teacher who was fully sighted, and he had not worked with a blind person before. So as he was teaching me how to play this guitar, he was referencing things in ways that a visual person could see it, but I couldn't see it. it was a difficult experience. Now, I could have given up. I could have said, oh, this is it. I'm not going to learn guitar. But what I did is I sought after a guitar teacher that was blind. And guess what? Now I'm learning it. So I pushed through. I encouraged myself to go past that block to get to the other side. And that's what we want you to do as well. So think about that over the course of the hour. Now, when we come back, we're going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Magna Brown. Again, her story is inspirational. You don't want to miss it. And this is the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and we'll be coming right back after this break. Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about encouragement. We all need that. I need that, even today, right? We all want to be encouraged. We all want to know that what we're shooting for in life we can achieve. But most of all, on those days when it's just a hard day, we get a pop tire, we are, we maybe get a bad grade on a test, we go through heartbreak of relationships. How do we stay encouraged? How do we light ourselves up inside? Well, our inspirational guest today had to be encouraged on her own as well. She survived the Holocaust, and we all know the stories that come with that, but her personal tale, her story of how she survived, how she stayed encouraged, it warms my heart. It inspires me. It makes me want to be even a better person every day. So I very much like to welcome Magna Brown to the show. Magna, hi. Welcome to the show.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, your story has so many twists and turns, but let's take our audience back to when you were 17 years old, to really when all this began. Can you share with us the day that, you got separated from your family and kind of what that environment was like at the time?
Well, the tragedy of the Holocaust began with our home, leaving our home, and being incarcerated in a ghetto, from there taken into Auschwitz concentration camp. Until that point, I was with my dear family. Once we arrived in the concentration camp called Auschwitz, I was separated from my parents, and I have never, ever seen them again.
And Magna, I'm just wondering, I really want to take that moment because my heart hurts for you in that way. How did you stay encouraged in that time of being separated from your family? What was your state of mind at that time?
Well, let me put a different explanation about that. I was 17 years old. I am a teenager. I was a happy-go-lucky teenager, and all of a sudden, all this tragedy hit. So, when we were separated, when I was separated from my mother, I waved to her and I said, "I see you later, Mother." She was a very young-looking 42-year-old woman, but she was holding on to me, and that was enough for the Nazi officer who was selecting us or separating us to separate us. And once we arrived to the unknown location, we were not told where we are going to go in the boxcar that would have 75 to 80 human beings squashed into it. There was standing room only. There was no air to breathe. It was beyond human comprehension. Visualize this. The boxcar would have approximately sitting on the floor capacity for maybe 35 people with that itty-bitty little overnight bag. They managed to crowd in as many as 75 to 80 human beings. And then they slammed the door on us. There was chaos beyond understanding because every human behavior was present. There were the quiet ones, the cursing ones, the praying ones, the sick ones. It was like a Tower of Babel. It was unbelievable. Now we are rushed into this boxcar. There is standing room only. And it has taken me 3 solid days to stand inching one way or the other to allow my parents to sit on the wooden floor. When we entered this boxcar, of course, they slammed the door on us. It had a tiny window on it that's not bigger than your laptop. And they had 2 buckets in the corner. One was for toiletry and one was for water. Except that one bucket of water was never, ever refilled for 3 solid days. You forget about your physical pain. You forget about your stress. You can only focus on, if I could only have a sip of water. Your mouth is dry. Your lips are parched. And that's all you can focus on for water. And some people were by the window. They would put their hands out, but people ignored. So this is our trip
Magna,
from Hungary to Auschwitz concentration camp.
Well, and I have a question for you, Magna, because obviously that is, those conditions are unimaginable. And to have even lived it, I'm sure you had to go to a special place in your mind to get through that, to stay encouraged. And I'm just wondering, when you got to this unknown location and you were separated from your family, where did they take you then?
Well, there is a succession of mechanized movement. That is the reason why I call the Holocaust a premeditated, scientifically coordinated mass murder. Now listen to this one. I am separated from my mother, and this Nazi officer is directing me to one side, and from this moment on, you're nothing more than a robot. They don't speak to you. They make motions, move this way, that way. So here are the steps. First room, we had to totally disrobe, fold your clothes down, you'll get it later. Later never comes. Now comes another room. Here they shave your hair bald, they shave your body hair, and if that's not bad enough, they spray disinfectants on it. Then the next room is what I laughingly call the shower, which is far from the shower you took in your lovely home. It was nothing more than an empty room with about 50 shower heads screwed to the ceiling, and literally a trickle of water was reaching your body. There was no soap, there was no towel, there was no clean underwear. Next room, a mountain of odds and ends clothing. They throw an ill-fitting garment on you. Next thing is bedtime. Visualize a totally empty room, just a wooden floor. The room would have space for approximately 300 the most human bodies lying down on the floor. They managed to systematically put us 500 of us laying down like the sardines in the can. Now, at this point, they allocate an older prisoner to be our supervisor. Older meaning that she has been in the camp longer. So her job is at the crack of dawn to get us out into the courtyard.
Magna,
I
want to hear the rest of this, but we're going to take a small break here shortly.
Okay.
What I think is so amazing is just how you're able to share in detail all of this, and we appreciate that. So stay with us, and everybody, we're talking to Magne Brown right now, and she's giving us her story, having experienced the Holocaust. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. Thank you for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about how to be encouraged during times when you're stressed, when you're challenged, when you feel like you just want to give up. You don't give up. Just like our inspirational guest today, Magne Brown, she didn't give up. Even when the Holocaust, all the ins and outs of everything she experienced tested her in numerous ways. She's obviously with us today telling her story. She never gave up. She fought for her freedom. And so I'd like to welcome Magne Brown to the show. Thank you again for joining us. Hi. So I want to kind of jump a little bit here in your story, and I so value that you shared with us kind of how the camp was and the order to it and all the ins and outs of that. But you also got transferred to a work camp, and it was at this work camp that you had to work with bombs and other hazardous materials. Can you share with us what that experience was like for you?
Well, after a period of time in Auschwitz-Birkenau, 1,000 of us Hungarian Jewish women were transferred into an ammunition factory in Germany, which manufactured bombs and rockets. Now, we were mostly young girls between 16 and 22. We have never seen a factory, let alone work in it, but you'll be surprised how fast you learn when you are ordered to do it. And our job was to fill a highly poisonous liquid material into the bomb And as we were doing this for several months, a 12-hour shift, one rotating between night and day shift, and after a couple of months into it, we looked at each other, and our hair started growing out into crew-cut size. And now the hair, if your hair was black, now it's orange. Your face is lemon yellow, and your lips are deep dark purple. We were working with highly poisonous liquid material without any protective garments. So it started invading our body.
You know, I just can't imagine how scary that must have been, you know, but at the same time, really scary to see how your body is changing and the aftermath of that, the effects of that. Or do you feel, from having worked with those hazard materials, do you have any effects of that today or not at all?
Well, I really don't have any physical after effect because the end was nearing.
Right.
And if the end wasn't within the next 2 months from that point when I'm talking about, wouldn't have the pleasure of talking to you.
Well, and we are glad that you're here. Now, I want you to tell us about the end, okay? Because you really thought this was it. You were done.
Exactly it. We have seen that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And to describe briefly the end, what has happened, the director of the camp received an order to evacuate us and put us on a death march to the neighboring concentration camp out of the factory. So it was a bitter cold March, 1945, and we had only a very thin spring coat. Our legs were bare. Our feet just had some flip-flops on without any covering. And we had to march on this bitter cold winter or spring weather for 3 solid days. And during the night, we slept in the ditches on the wet ground. We arrived on the 3rd day to a community that was like a small farm area. And you see, in those days, you lived in fate and fantasy. And in the evening, we start looking at the farmland, and in the distance, a group of us saw a barn. And now fantasy set in full time. How about if during the night we are going to crawl on the ground one by one and try to reach the barn? You see, fate was, like I told you, fantasy was full force, because by this time we lost our self-esteem and we felt this is the end, so what? They'll find us, they shoot us, we won't have to worry anymore. But thank God the rescue happened, because the next day, hiding in the barn, 2 brave soldiers from the 6th Armored Division liberated us. They rescued their lives to save ours. God bless them all. And the liberation, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Magna, because that's such an amazing moment when they opened up those barn doors and you saw these 2 men, all in their gear, in their uniform. You didn't know what side they were on. You thought they might have been Nazis, right?
Very likely, because we have never seen an American uniform. Fortunately, in the group of us, there were 2 ladies who spoke English fluently, so they were able to communicate. And to tell you the truth, those soldiers were so young, like our age almost, and they cried and we cried. But
and when you were rescued, where did you after the rescue, after some time had passed, where did you go then? Where do you go?
Well, we were under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Army for a limited time, and the captain went into the little villages surrounded the 1,000 of us, where we were scattered all over, and he asked the German mayor to ask the members in the community to allocate 1 room in their homes so we have a bed, and then they managed to get some food for us. And at the beginning, we just incessantly ate, because we were so starved. But then you start thinking, and all of a sudden your mind is working and realizing that in less than a year, I have become an orphan. I lost my parents to guide me. I didn't have a home, a country to go to. I didn't have a penny to my name. I didn't have a profession, and I'm not even 18 years old. And this is where courage, faith, and determination and empty help from various volunteer agencies who helped us further.
And when you look back now, obviously, later on, many years have passed, do you still have times where you have a trigger, where you'll hear a sound, or you'll smell something that has you remember that time?
There are two things. Things. Now, this is kind of sounds silly in this interview, but I have to tell you. Do you know that for 50-some years I would not touch oatmeal? Because they gave us some far from the good oatmeal that are serving in the U.S. It's some kind of concoction, and it was so tasteless and miserable, whatever. So anyhow, that was one thing. And at the very beginning, when we were liberated, every time I walked down the street as a free person, I thought that the Nazi guard was escorting me. I couldn't shed that feeling for the longest time. There were some nightmares, but the nightmares subsided once I had to start building a new life.
And what does freedom mean to you? What does that word mean to you?
Let me put it in. When I speak to students, I say three things. One is protect your freedom, because next to your health, freedom is the most important commodity a human being can have. Second, I tell the students, think before you hate. I'm not telling them to hate or not to hate. This is up to their conscience. But at least think about why you hate. And thirdly, after I talk to a large number of audiences, I tell them that every so often there are some people who deny the existence of the crematorium, whose flames and smoke we smelled on a daily basis, and we couldn't understand what that is, where they burned our parents alive, and they keep denying the fact that the crematoriums existed. So believe you me, many of us survivors at our age keep talking to tell that genocide does not happen from one minute to the next. It builds gradually. So protect your freedom.
Protect your freedom. I love it. And you did it. You got through it. You survived. You somehow, even in the depths of tragedy and just the fear and even facing death, you somehow stayed encouraged. Somehow you stayed focused. What do you think was your secret? What helped you the most?
My secret was God's guidance. He and I have a very good relationship. I've been in many troubles, and he comes to my rescue. So I think that is a lot. I have to give credit to my parents. I grew up in a religious, God-fearing family, and that was that remained in my life. There were times when we didn't know if we're going to make it till the next morning. I mean, the situation was so frightening. But
well, Magna,
I put it in the other way.
Yeah, I mean,
you are to live.
Yeah, I mean, you are meant to be treasured. I mean, everybody listening, you just got to understand, she has dedicated her life day in, day out to tell these stories. For all the people who can't talk, she shares their stories. And I value that so much. I mean, you are such a perfect example of what it means to live full out. And you have many, many friends here in this community. And we thank you so much for being on the show today.
My pleasure. And I hope all your listeners will have a good, free life.
Oh, we will. And actually, thanks to you, we will, because you've made me today look at freedom in a different way. So thank you for that. And have a great day. Thanks, Magna. And for everybody listening today, her story blows us away, but we all have a story, right? So where in your life are you needing encouragement? We talked about this before, earlier in the other segments. What is it that you're trying to overcome? Where are you feeling blocked? Where are you feeling stuck? Where do you need to turn that doorknob and set yourself free? This is the time for you to put action into play. And it's not easy. Sometimes we feel like we can't do something. We're scared. We don't have a support system. Well, look at someone like Magna, right? She lost her entire family. She had the friends and the people she met along the way, but even those folks got lost and killed. And so remember that you have the ability to move yourself forward in life. You have the ability to channel that encouragement inside you. We're going to be coming right back after this break, taking more of your calls. This is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari. We'll be right back. That you're always encouraged. You're always looking ahead at what it is that you want to achieve, but not letting the moments that are hard, the times that challenge you, hold you back. Always knowing your value, knowing that you're worth it, and setting yourself free to explore anything that's possible. That's what Living Full Out's about. Well, here we are, final segment of the show. I can't believe it. I am Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and today we're talking about being encouraged. And I truly want you all to soak that up, because we have that. We have that ability to give that gift to someone else. If you can think of one person today that is struggling in their life, that is feeling deflated, maybe they're feeling depressed, maybe they're feeling lost, unloved, you name it. You have the ability to encourage them and give them that gift, give them that strength, let them know that they're valued. And so think of one person today that you can call, that you can visit to give them that gift. I also want you to think about today that challenge that we've been talking about, that place in your life where you need more encouragement. What do we need to give you that encouragement? Is it that you need a strong support system? Is it that you need people who can, be there for you to talk to, like sounding boards? That's what I like to call them, people that you can just vent to. Or is it that you need assistance and help in getting something done? Is it that you need more education? We want to figure out what is it that you need, what would give you that energy, that ability to really thrust yourself out there so you can achieve that goal and dream. We're not over yet. Keep thinking about what it is that you need to do so you can take action to live full out in your life. Now we're going to go back to the phone lines. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, thank you for joining us. How can we help you today?
Well, I'm calling because I am in a bad place in that a good friend of mine from college, we've been friends for, over 30 years, and we've been close ever since. And she and her mother have had a very close relationship in the past, but then recently have just stopped getting along and are no longer on speaking terms. And they both sort of call me and talk to me to vent about their issues with the other person, and I give them advice, and it just doesn't seem to be correcting itself. But, I normally don't put myself in the middle of conflicts like this. In fact, I avoid it. But this one in particular is very personal for me because, well, first of all, my friend is a very close friend of mine. But second of all, I lost my mother at a very young age when I was 12. So, I would like nothing more than to have had a mother in my life. And so for me to see my friend just toss her relationship with her mother aside like this is painful for me to watch. Mm-hmm. But then also her mother is, she's almost 80, and who knows how much time she has left. And so I really feel the need to get them back together somehow, some way. So I'm wondering if there's any tips you might be able to give me and to get them back together.
Well, your heart is a big one, and your heart is in the right place. But there's two things going on here. One is your personal attachment to what's going on, and the other is their relationship. And I think you have to isolate them separately. So let's talk about you first of all. So hands down, my mom is my best friend, so I get it. And I'm so sorry that you lost your mom at 12. And I can hear that pain, that desire to hear her voice, to be around her, that's still there, And I want to acknowledge that because even after all these years, that's still there and present for you. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you talk to your friend or you talk to her mom, all you can do is explain to them how precious their mother-daughter union should be based upon missing your mom. And I would write them each a letter and I'd make it very personal and very direct, and I would let them know how the loss of your mother, why you're so personally attached to what's going on with them. And I would write them each a letter. Maybe it's a handwritten letter, maybe it's email. And then once you send it to them, that's really all you can do. Unfortunately, the other piece of this is their relationship. And unfortunately, it's going to take the two of them to bring that back together. And it might be at a time of tragedy where they finally come back together. It might be that one bends and forgives the other. That's for them to iron out. All you can do is tell them how much you love them, how much you cherished and missed your mom, and how you want them to have that bond. That is all you can do. What I don't want to see you do is carry the weight on your shoulders, because it's just too much. Do you feel that weight?
I do. Yeah. Very much so. And
I want you to take, they're like rocks on your shoulders. I want you to take those rocks off your shoulders, put them down, write a letter, a heartfelt letter. Everything that you're wanting to say, put it in paper, put it in an email, but then you have to set it free, because it's two separate things. It's two separate relationships. But I really appreciate you calling in, because you bring up such a great point. And for everybody listening today, value these relationships. Life is short. And it is unfortunate that they are in the pickle they are, which we're not talking to each other. But again, just show them love, reach out to them, but that's really all you can do. But I thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, have a great day. And I want to thank everybody who was calling in today, and our guest, Magna Brown. It's all about being encouraged. And remember, we all have that ability. It's all about living life full out. I want to thank the entire Living Full Out team here. We have Carrie and Annalie and Rich. And honestly, I want to thank you, the audience. We'll be back next week. But until then, here's to you living your life full out.